evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's session. You caught me by surprise then. I was talking about the branding. Doesn't that guy look better looking than me? I think he's got a lot of filters on. But welcome to tonight's session. We're going to be talking about content that convert, and this is slightly different than maybe a session we've done previously. So I want to explain some stuff to you, and you are going to need a notepad and pen. So please take notes. At the end of the session, and you'll see on screen here somewhere, links. I'm going to reference a whole load of resources and things that we're going to share. Please do drop us an email on there, hi@maverrik.io, and we will send you the resources I talk about tonight, free of charge. So do start again. If you need any of the resources, please email us there. Also, there's a like, comment, subscribe. Please share where you're joining us from. If you've got questions, one of the team is in the chat and we'll be taking your questions down to get back to you, but also we'll try and answer some questions as we go as well. So do put your question in the chat, let us know where you're joining from. And if you're watching on LinkedIn, please follow the company page. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. And you can come find me on LinkedIn and say, Dean, I'd love to connect because I watched your training session. Absolutely fine. If you've got questions for me, ask them in DMs on LinkedIn too. So number one, you're going to need a notepad for tonight's session. Or if you're watching in the US, today's session, and please do engage with us in the chat, in the comment section, and we'll answer as much as we possibly can. So thank you again for joining us. This is a training session. If you've never joined us before, just a quick intro to who we are. Maverrik is a training company. We've been doing this since 2014 on lots of different topics. We got known for our LinkedIn and social selling training. And every month, we probably help more than this now, but about 2,000 businesses through our free stuff, and our online courses and our resources on our website. And our mission as a business, if you can see it here on screen, is to help 1 million businesses grow their margin, their revenue, and their profit. Because as the founder of this company, I firmly believe that I came from little story. You can get your violin out. I came from a working class background. I'm the only member of my immediate family who's actually started a business. I think I'm the only member of my family who's started a business. And so I really believe that entrepreneurship and businesses growing actually employs more people and actually helps build a better economy. So that's the reason we do it. We think entrepreneurship and business is a way that people can build a better life and build a better livelihood and build something better for their families. So that's why we do what we do. Yes, we want to make money as we go, but actually a big part of what we do is to give away a lot for free to help people and help people grow businesses. Anyway, little story over. Just a reminder from tonight, this is my little sales pitch before we get started. I'm not going to kind of hound you with it, but we do start next week our bootcamp, where we go week by week in live sessions, teaching this and showing you how to implement it, giving you homework after each session to go implement so you can learn and implement some of the things I'm going to share tonight, but also a little bit more in more detail. So if you want to know about that, it's £200 including VAT, $200 I think it works out to because there's no VAT in the US. If you want to join it, we start a week today. It's at 4 p.m. UK, which is first thing in the morning in the US, so early morning in the US. And I'd love you to join me in a live group session. So it's not a webinar, it's a group call together. So there'll be I think it's about 20 or so people in the group, and you can be part of learning this. Anyway, let's move on. So if you want that, details are on screen. You can email us. I'll put the slide up at the end just in case you want it to. Okay, so we're going to go through 3 things today, if you're watching in the US. 3 real things that we're going to go through. The goals from content, some of the mechanics of content, and then we're going to look at some of the key drivers of what lead generation content and content that converts really is. So the first thing I want you to look at is the 2 goals that you should have from content, the 2 goals you should have from content. Number 1 is building your brand, and I'm going to unpack what that means, or what I think that means today, and generating inbound leads. And I'm going to tell you and explain to you what the 2 things are. Building your brand, whether you're B2B or B2C, you want to align your brand, your name, your logo with a message. What is that message? Now, some people lose sight of this, is that the reality is you want your brand, your logo, your company name, your face even, for your face. And we're covering this in a couple of weeks on a personal branding training session, so I won't dig too deep, is that your name needs to align with a key message that people remember. So I want Maverrik to be known as the company that helps people grow business, margin, revenue, and profit. Helps businesses grow margin, revenue, and profit. So that when you go away from here and you go, I need to grow my sales, or I need to get more inquiries, Maverrick's the people to help me know how to do that. So I want to align my name and my business with the problems and the challenges and the outcomes that I can help customers with, I can help clients with. So when I talk about building your brand, I'm not talking about building an amazing logo. I'm not talking about building a name with millions of people. I'm talking about you establishing your name and your prospective customers, your prospective clients, remembering you for the things you can help them with. So real simple. That your brand, your name is known by the people for the things that you can help them with. Real simple. So what's the pains and challenges you can fix? That's what I mean by building your brand. The second part of this is generating inbound leads. In other words, people who see that you can help them and want to know more. That's what I mean by a lead. I don't mean a company who we think knows your service. I mean people who DM you, fill in that opt-in form, email message you, whatever the mechanism is, but they go, I want to know more. I want to know more. Or they signal to you that they want to know more. So that's what I mean by a lead. They want more information in some way, shape, or form. So that's one of your goals of your content. The two goals are get your name established with your prospects for the things that you can help them with. In other words, they align their pain or challenge and your outcome or result you can deliver. They align them together with your name. Real simple. And then the other element is that people come inbound to you and say, I want to know more. I want more. Those are the 2 things that content should be doing. Because actually, if you build the brand and people are aware and know you are known by them for fixing problems and challenges and getting people to results that they want to achieve, specific results that they want to achieve, and it will generate the inbound leads. Those 2 things actually support and complement each other. So how do we do this? And some of you will have seen this before. Some of you have seen me explain this before. And I don't want to kind of go over it in too much detail because we'll be here for a long time. But effectively, every customer, every client goes through this process. And this is important from the brand point of view. This is important from your messaging point of view. And this is important from your lead generation. If you don't know this, if you don't get this, if you don't implement this into your content, you will find, and you'll see it, people putting posts out on social media, creating lead magnets, downloadable white papers, what have you. You'll be putting blogs out and you'll go, why is nobody biting? Why is nobody engaging? It's because you don't understand this process. And I'm not saying this is the only process, but this is the process that's real simple to follow, real simple to understand. So I'll just explain it briefly. Every prospect, every customer will go through a process like this. There might be different names on it, there might be different stages on it, but it's the same thing. The first thing that happens is a customer becomes aware of a problem in their business. Customer becomes aware of a problem in their business. Frustration, a challenge, an annoyance, a niggle, something along those lines. Then they go, what I really want is this. In other words, they want the opposite of the problem. What's the opposite of the problem? In other words, and I'll give you an example because I've not eaten today, so it's a really good example to use. I'm hungry. My stomach's rumbling. I've not eaten in a while. I'm hungry. I'm uncomfortable being hungry. What's all those feelings, frustrations? What does it feel like? Excuse me. And then I go, well, I really want something to eat. I want to be satisfied. I don't want my stomach to rumble. I want an outcome. I want a result. I want a full tummy. So then I come to the point of going, I need to make a decision. And this isn't a decision about so much what I'm going to eat. It's that I am actually going to change it. So it's not specifics at this point. I'm going to look at, should I have something in the cupboard? Shall I go and have a look in the cupboard? Shall I have a snack? Shall I have a proper meal? What am I going to do? How am I going to change this? And in that process, I reach a decision to say, I'm going to have a snack, or I'm going to order a takeaway, or I'm going to go out for a meal. And I reach that choice of how I'm going to change it. Not specifically how, but the broad picture of how. So I'm going to have a takeaway, I'm going to have a snack, I'm going to cook a meal, I'm going to go to a restaurant, whatever it is, and then I start to choose which restaurant, which takeaway, which snack. And so if I put it into another context, just so you can understand it in a slightly different way, I'm frustrated I'm not getting leads on my website. The traffic's poor, the bounce rate's high, I'm not getting leads, I'm not getting inquiries, people are not spending time on my site. I'm not happy with the leads I'm getting from my website. Number two, I want more leads from my website. I want more traffic. I want to see people reading our blogs. I want people sharing our blogs from our website. I want to see more. I want to see a result. I want to see an outcome. I've got a problem. I want the outcome. I want the better future. If this is what I'm living with now, I want this. So this is like a vision of the future. What could it be like? What do I really want? And based on those two things, not having leads, not having traffic, not getting inquiries, not seeing people reading our blogs, not people sharing our blogs, all of those problems and frustrations and things that are keeping me up at night, things that agitate me, I want another reality. I want another reality, an outcome, a future state. And so then what happens? Okay, I know I've got a problem. I want a different result. I want an outcome. How am I going to do it? So we research, don't we? We Google, we look around, we see what other people are doing. And in that process, we decide, actually, I've read a lot, I've researched a lot, and I see at the end of this process, what we need is SEO. We need SEO on our website. We need to up the ante on our SEO on our website to get us from here to here. So at this point, the decision maker goes, we need SEO. And then they go, okay, how do I get SEO companies? So I'm going to look for an SEO company to do my website. And at this point, they start to evaluate on the solution stage. They start to evaluate, okay, how do I choose the right SEO? And they come up with the criteria. Every customer moves through this journey. And down here, they're looking at the value. And the closer they move down this road, this journey, the more they start to look at transactionally, so they compare like for like. and it becomes a more competitive process. The extreme being a tender or something like that. So if I know that people go through this journey, and just so you're aware, by the way, at any given time, and this is a kind of metric that works across any industry, any vertical, your exact product or service, 3% of the market are sat in this space here. 3%. The vast majority of people are at various stages down here. So if you want to create content that converts, you need to talk to the different people at different stages, because the message and the content for these people is very different from the message for these people here. These people want to know what's the best way of doing the SEO. These people are looking for an SEO company in Manchester or Bristol or London or Plymouth. These people are looking for an SEO company for SaaS companies. These are looking for SEO for event organizers. These people are looking for SEO. So you might think this is a good thing. Actually, it's a bad thing. These people are looking for SEO, and they're looking for the relevance of the SEO to their business and to their problem and their challenge, problem and their outcome. So they're looking for a specific method of fixing their problem, SEO, to fix their problem. Then they're looking for a company to give them credibility they can get to an outcome. And they're looking at the relevance of that for their business and their market. So down here, it's about the best strategies for SaaS SEO and how to choose the best SaaS SEO provider or agency. I don't do SEO, by the way, so if you're watching this and you're SEO, don't worry, I'm no threat to you. I have no idea how SEO properly, well, I do, but not professionally. So here we go. So SEO's down here. This is where being the top of Google means something to you. SEO agency for SaaS or tech companies. You want to be at the top of Google for this. You want to be using Google Ads to be at the top of Google for when people search for these terms. But down here, here's the interesting bit. If you talk to customers at this stage in their journey, when they're in problem and outcome stage, they've not settled on a solution. So they're not looking for SEO. They're just looking for an answer. So if I reach a customer at this stage where they're frustrated with their web traffic and they're not getting the right leads and they're not getting enough inquiries, I can offer them any solution that gets them from problem to outcome. And if they have confidence in me and my company, they will make a decision to either buy that or pursue other options. So if I reach somebody here, problem and outcome stage, and they're frustrated with their web traffic, that's the key message. They're frustrated with their web traffic. They're frustrated with they're not getting their leads. They're frustrated that their business is not growing because of the websites. The website's underperforming. Outcome stage, they want more inquiries from their website. They want more organic inquiries from people saying they've seen something on the website. They want more people to download their white papers from their landing page. These are the outcomes of what they want, and these are the problems. You can talk to an audience here and introduce them to your solution. But if you go 5 reasons why you need SEO at this stage, then it's no relevance to them. It's no relevance to them. It's only relevant to people at this end of the stage, which is where the minority of your customers will be. The minority. Around 10% of the whole of your customer base is sat down here, and the remaining, actually, I think it's about 30% of people are in this outcoming stage, 30% are in the problem stage, and another 30% are totally oblivious. They don't have a clue that there's a problem. They're just walking around not knowing what they don't know what they don't know. So what I'm getting at is, and I'm a little bit passionate about this because it's really important, is you need to understand that every customer goes through this process. Some people go through it quickly. Some people take years to go through it. But actually, if you catch people here, you influence them. You open their eyes, you bring them into your world, and you introduce them that the answer is SEO. Or the answer is Facebook ads, or the answer is YouTube ads, or the answer is press releases, or the answer is lots of different things. You can, as long as you can help people get from problem to outcome, your customers, and this is the bit you won't like, your customers don't really care about the method as long as the method works in their business and they believe it will work in their business. And that's your job as a content creator, and then as a salesperson to close that deal, to show them how you are the best person for the job. So the highest converting content will always be content that speaks to the pains, challenges, and frustrations and the goals of your customers. Always. And if it doesn't, you miss a trick. So what are some of the key elements of making content that really does convert? Let's have a look at some of those. And hopefully I've gone over this and it kind of makes sense. I know normally I spend about half an hour when I do a session in a live event, an in-person event. I spend about half an hour just unpicking this so people get it, because actually everybody in the different camps will have a different emphasis. These people will be more about understanding their problem. These people will be more about understanding the outcome of what that looks like. These people trying to weigh the options, and these people actually trying to qualify the right choice. And so each stage is a different message, and each stage is a different structure of way you do it. The content often is very similar, but actually the big differentiator usually is the headline, but we'll come to headlines in a minute. So what's some of the key elements? So this is an exercise you can do. And I mentioned it earlier. This is a free resource you can download from our website, but if you can't find it, you can email us on the email on screen. I'll try and do it. Did I get it right? There. You can email us on screen, and we'll send it to you tomorrow. This is going out quite late in the UK. This is being done today in the UK, in Plymouth. So we will get back to you tomorrow. So we'll send you this, but basically the premise of this is, look at where your customer would be in 6 months. Look at where your customer would be in 6 months of working with you and buying your product or service. Imagine that. And write all the things down that's happened in their business as a result of working with you. What's the big wins that's happened from them? The outcomes. And that's obviously reference to the sales journey. Then we work backwards and go, okay, if that's all the benefits they have in 6 months, where are they right now to want or need those benefits? And usually what you'll find is that the benefits and outcomes, you can list them really easily, really straightforward to list those. But working back to here, it's actually quite hard. And so if you write those down first, often the benefits and outcomes are the positives of the negatives. So if somebody's getting more leads from their website because they've worked with you, the simple way of doing it, obviously you need to do it in a more detailed way, but the simple way to explain it is, now they have, the current reality is they're getting no leads, or they're getting the wrong quality of leads. They're getting tire kickers, people who are not relevant, people who are maybe they're B2B and they're getting B2C inquiries. So you start to do this, and this worksheet we have helps you unpack this and explain it to yourself and get into your customer's mindset so that you can explain it in more detail and you can write content. This is not just a content worksheet. This can actually be built out into a value proposition document. It can actually be built out into web copy. It can be built out into blogs and posts. Many of the things that you're doing will always come from the best content you will always do will probably originate from something you put on this form. So you can have a copy of this. It's a tricky form to do, and I recommend that if you want the replay of tonight's session, just so you can understand that point, start from the future and work back, and this form gets really easy to fill in. If you try and work from here forwards, it becomes very tricky. So it gets easier if you work from the future to the current reality and fill this in than going the other way. And remember, your product is just a tool. It's just a vehicle. Customers love your product, love your company, not because of the product itself. It's not because of the product itself. It's not because of the service. It's actually because of what that product or service allows them to do. It's what that product... You can't have an amazing product if it doesn't deliver an outcome and solve a problem for a customer. You can't have an amazing product because it's only amazing if it can achieve something. If somebody can see for themselves, they can understand how that can help them. It can add value to what they're doing. So to go through this exercise, it's a little tricky, but as I said, start from the future and work to the present. So let's look at some more elements for building content. And this really is the fundamentals of highly converting content. If you get this, you'll be able to do it all day long. So let's look at some more elements. So what can you be posting about? What kind of content can you do? And we call this taste. It's really useful for social media. So if you're on social media and you've got to write posts, the taste format, let me just move out so you can see it. The taste format is about, really topple the TV then, is about understanding that people are trying to taste what you're trying to do. They're trying to get a flavor to see whether they like you. And so posting on social media, posting articles and all that stuff is useful to help people get a flavor and an understanding of who you are and what you're about. So what can you post about? Well, number one, can you teach and educate? In other words, can you give people a light bulb moment where they go, I never thought of it that way. That's a really good idea. I never realized we could do that. Often what we miss in highly converting content is that the big win for them is not loads of stuff. It's one big idea that suddenly opens their world to other possibilities. It's a light bulb moment. And you can build a very strong content strategy just off, you ready for this? Because this is really important and some people miss this and I have to say it a few times. If your content just diagnoses things, people will find value, because part of the biggest challenge businesses have is understanding the problems they've got to begin with. And lots of companies, actually consultants, will make a lot of money from actually just showing people and teaching people about why their problem exists in their business. So teaching and educating is about sharing of ideas and helping see things differently. So what about their problems and challenges and goals and outcomes have they never seen before? What illumination can you bring to their problem and their goals within the bits that you're going to help them with relevance to your product or service? Then we've got the classic one, which lots of people do on social content and blog content, is actionable advice. And actionable advice never goes out of date. I don't mean the advice itself, I mean the actionable advice as a concept, as a broad category of content, never goes out of fashion. People want to know how to do some things. So think about what are the actionable piece of advice you can give people that help people, but obviously don't give the whole game away, but they help people. Actionable advice. S, show people and explain to people how you solve their pain. What's your process and how do you help people go from pain to outcome, as we did earlier? Point A to point B. Show people how you do it. Explain to people how you do it. Give people the next one, T, testimonials or examples of how you help people go from pain to outcome, how your product has delivered that result for other people, particularly people relevant in the sectors that you're targeting. And then finally, and this is very important for social content, but also for a blog or a website, is get your personality in there, experience your personality, whether that's your company's personality or whether that's you as a person. But But it's really important that people get to know who you are and what you're about and a flavour of you in the way you say things. Maybe you have your own terminology. I do. I have some interesting terminology. I'll show you one in a minute. I've got an example of a post that I did that generated £100,000 worth of sales, and I call it the twist the knife post. Twist the knife post. So we have our own terminology. We have our own way of explaining things. We have our own analogies and examples. Put them into it. So there has to be a flavour of you in the content. There has to be some examples that makes it relevant. You have to show them how they solve pain, some actionable advice, and those illumination moments where you do that. Now, you don't have to do all of these in one piece of content, but the idea is it gives you different ways to say similar things. So you might have, and some of you will have this, I'm sick of saying the same stuff. Well, okay. How can do like a mind map and go, well, how can I give some actionable advice? How can I show people we can fix that problem? How can I give some examples of how we fix that problem? How can I show our personality and how we work with people with the problem? And so what happens is you get 5 different ways, just off taste, 5 different ways to say a very similar thing, just from a different angle or a different perspective. So lead magnets. If you're not familiar with the concept of lead magnets, it's basically a resource, a free resource that you go onto a website and you put your email address in and download. Now, I want to address some things on here, and I'm deliberately covering my slide to prevent you reading it before I go into the next bit. Lead magnets are incredibly powerful to be used on social media, on your profiles, on your LinkedIn, on your all of these different places, Facebook, wherever you, even down to using them in emails, and all of those places. It's really good to use them. But there's a couple of really important things, and these apply to pretty much everything. So everything that you do, these following points probably will be relevant. So the first one is, I've got a lead magnet here, how you can create inbound leads on LinkedIn in less than 30 days or less, with 3 key points. Now, I want to share something, and I'll try and cover it quickly because we are tight on time. The first one is the headline and the choice of title is everything. If you don't get people curious with the title or the headline, you've lost people. Absolutely. Whether it's an email, a blog, a post, you lose people. Choice is everything. The other thing is, don't expect that people will read them lots of information. They don't. Most people who download these, and I'm not just meaning mine, just generally, they have every intention of reading them and never actually do. They download them and go, I'll save that because I'll read that. And then they never get round to reading it. Life's too busy. So if that's the case, you either have to give them something that's short and sweet and they get through it quickly, or I'll come back to what lead magnets are really for you in a second. So I'll walk you through how do you keep people engaged in a bigger piece of content in a second. We'll talk about the 5 Ps and 6 Ps. But the big thing about a lead magnet should be, and does the title, does the person's action on that lead magnet, downloading something, entering their email, clicking the link, does that action tell you anything about the person's pain or outcome? What do I mean by that? So if I did a lead magnet that said, LinkedIn lead generation explained, LinkedIn lead generation explained, it does not tell me whether the person's in pain or the person wants an outcome. It doesn't tell me either. It just explains something. It's neutral. So I can't infer from that anybody has an urgency or a pain or a desire for a goal based on just LinkedIn lead generation explained. However, how you can generate inbound leads on LinkedIn in 30 days or less tells me they want leads, and they want them quickly. So there is an urgency and a desire for an outcome. Equally, I could do 5 reasons why you're not generating inbound leads on LinkedIn and how to fix it in 30 days. And the pain, people would resonate with the pain and the time frame, and it would explain to me that this person has that problem or is likely to have that problem and wants to do something about it quickly. Now, it doesn't always need a time frame, but the idea is that the title exposes their need or pain and or shows you their desired outcome. Because from a follow-up point of view, whether you nurture them by email or whether you nurture them as a salesperson, it helps you see, this is how I can add value. The person saying, this is my frustration, this is my goal, and I can email them back and say, oh, thanks so much for downloading How You Can Create Inbound Leads. Did you read the book, number 1? And would you like some more free resources, or would you like a strategy call about how we can help you implement this in 30 days? More practical and more detailed tips or anything like that. Would you like to have a chat about it? So I can follow what they've engaged with. If I make it neutral, they could be just curious. It doesn't tell me anything about their needs. So the title is everything, and the lead magnet, the primary goal of the lead magnet should be, when people download it, does it identify, do you have some confidence that the people who are downloading it are likely to need you? So if I put LinkedIn Explained, for an example, it doesn't tell me that they need me. It doesn't tell me they're in pain. It doesn't tell me they need an outcome or they're looking for an outcome. It just tells me they're interested in LinkedIn Explained. It doesn't tell me if they're, a novice. It doesn't tell me if they're an expert. It doesn't tell me if they're using it for business development. It doesn't tell me anything. And so we're creating a title and a headline that's geared towards the need, the pain, and the outcome. Now, we've got another resource I'm going to share with you. You can email us for this. And it's just things we've collated over time from various different internet articles we've seen. And we've put them into a spreadsheet of some of the pain and outcome-centric headlines you can use, the titles you can use for blogs and lead magnets, just as templates that you can cannibalize. And some of them might be a bit too cheesy, but it gives you an idea of what we're talking about. It's very hard for me to explain this and you go, oh, I get it. But when you start to see it like this, you start to go, okay, I can see the pain and the outcome now. I can see how this, excuse me, I can see how this can work for me and how I can tailor my titles. The key thing is, if somebody's in pain, they're motivated. If somebody's seeking an outcome, they're motivated. So if you focus your headlines around pains and outcomes, you get motivated people who want to make a change. They might not make a change today or tomorrow, but as we've implemented this, I'll give you an indication. We replaced our website because we didn't do a lot of blogging on our website. We focused most of our website activity on our social media, all our content activity on our social media. And then we decided, now we've got the social media stuff going really strong, particularly our LinkedIn is very, very strong, both as profiles and company page. We're going to build our website out. So our website went from brand spanking new with new content, the works, all beginning in late 2019. And now we have, it's something like 16,500 new users every week, I think, if I get it right, on our website, reading our blogs, because we've really tacked into this way of writing and really built it out on our website. So just some final things on content and posts. So if you're going to do a social media post, and then we'll go to 5 Ps, which is good for writing content. There's 4 key elements, and I'll breeze through these quickly. Every post you need to do has stopping power. How do you get people to stop and pay attention in their feed? And simply put, the visual and this preview copy. If it's LinkedIn, the visual is the primary thing that will get people to stop scrolling, and the text copy here will make a huge difference. So that's the first thing, stopping power. Structure. Now, I haven't got a slide on structure, but I want to share this with you. Far too often, your content, your blogs, is too difficult to read. Now, I don't mean that people can't read it. I mean it's not an easy read. We've all read stuff that's complicated, and it takes us a few minutes. Sometimes we have to reread lines, right? That's not a good way to write content. It's good for academic purposes. It's good for professional services and things like that when you're doing business-centric stuff. But when you're trying to get people's attention, you want to make it easy to read. So Microsoft Word and all the Word packages, any you use, Google Docs or what have you, they will have a structure, a test in there about the readability score. And it's really important that you write your content in a very simplistic readable way. And there's a score on Word and there's a score on Google Docs that you can use to test how complex your content is. You should be aiming that a 12-year-old can comfortably read what you're saying and it's not too heavy duty. That means it's a real light read for an adult. And if you want to Google this about readability score on content, you'll find what I'm telling you is they might actually say it's younger than 12. But you want to make it really easy to read. Shorter sentences, not so chunky paragraphs. And remember, some people are reading this on a phone. So a chunky paragraph on a screen and a chunky paragraph on a phone are two different things. So short sentences, easy to read from a language point of view, and short paragraphs so it's not too chunky and it's easy to scan read. Scan read. Because remember, on social media, people scan read. They don't read everything in detail, they scan. And if they find something interesting, they lock onto it and read backwards and forwards. We don't read like this. We scan, and then if it's interesting, we actually read. Staying power. Does your post or your content encourage people to read more, see more? Do they click that because they're curious? Is there something there that keeps them reading? The more people read, the more likely they're going to. It's good for your domain if you're getting people to stay on your website longer, number one. Number two, if you're doing it on posts, it will get a boost with the algorithm if you get people to read your content for longer, even if they don't like and comment. It's strategically good for you with the algorithm to get people to read for longer. So staying power. Does your content get people to see more, and does it get them to read for longer? So for an example, on LinkedIn, I do a lot of PDFs. I love PDFs because it gets people to stay longer. I like to write long posts because people read for longer. And by long, I mean the average view on LinkedIn. A view on LinkedIn is 3 seconds. So if you got a view for 10 or 15 or 20 seconds, that's incredible. And that will have a massive impact on your reach, on your content, and on your page and on your profile. So does your content get people to stay longer? And then the final one on the social content, I know we're doing a lot in this session, engagement. Simple things. If you want more likes and comments, you have to appeal to people to engage with you. You have to make it interesting. Go back and look over some of your posts. Have you been broadcasting, or have you been inviting discussion? Have you been sharing stuff that touches the human emotions, even B2B, by the way, or have you been very analytical? To get somebody to like or comment, you have to touch them. You have to inspire them. You have to motivate them. Simple things. Are you asking questions? How many questions in there? Are you asking people for their opinion? Are you asking people what they think? These are all good ways to get likes and comments. Even funny stuff gets likes and comments, but make sure you're getting the right engagement because the danger is with content is you pursue what gets views, and I would only advocate you do that if it adds value to your business. In other words, if I've got a load of business CEO decision makers engaging with my content, that's good. But if I get a load of people engaging with my content who are not decision makers, that's not good for me. And so there are two levels of view. There's the right views from the people who can make decisions, and there's the wrong views of people who like what I'm posting but maybe aren't the right people. And don't confuse those two, because I know I can tell you one example of somebody on LinkedIn who has way more followers than me, way more. And they post really good, inspirational, motivational, funny stuff, and it's brilliant. I enjoy reading them. And, you know, far more engagement, far more followers than I have. Yet, I sell more stuff from LinkedIn than they do. Why? Because my content is focused and I'm seeking engagement in the right way. I'm seeking engagement from an audience that can buy from me. So engagement's really important, but don't go for the wrong engagement. So let's look at some organizing your content and methodology. We've got a few minutes left to get all through this, so apologies if I'm racing through it. Here's the 5 Ps or 6 Ps, which is a real good structure to use for a blog or a piece of content, and I'll go through it really quickly. So you've got your title. Remember, you can get access to our title spreadsheet where you can see some of the examples. So the title would be basically focused around a pain or an outcome. So I've got one on LinkedIn, the reason why coaches struggle to get clients. I've also got one called the sales pitch template that kills all others. These have done really well as articles for me on LinkedIn, and they still work for me today. So you've got a title that's pain centric. And then this is basically almost like a paragraph structure or a section structure to the whole article or post. Obviously, if it's a post, it's going to be shorter, and an article, it's going to be longer, or a blog, it's going to be longer. So first of all, 5 Ps, 6 Ps, you've got a title, pain or outcome centric. The first paragraph we start with is pain. Explain the pain. Yeah. Spend a paragraph or so on explaining the pain. Ask questions. Have you ever had this? Have you seen this? Has this been a problem? But spend a paragraph explaining the pain. Then explain the picture. Explain the picture. And this is almost like an introduction. Explain the pain, explain the picture. Where do they want to be? Pain, outcome. Yeah, we've just changed it to picture, so we got the P's nice. Yeah, but pain, outcome. Then we will shift from the picture to the points. What are the things that we're going to share that's going to add value? Is there some big ideas? Teach and explain. Is it some actionable advice? Is it 3 pieces of actionable advice? Is it 5 tips? Is it 5 reasons? What's the explanations? Now, I've italicized points because sometimes if you were doing more of a sales article, you may not want to include any kind of benefits or tips. You may just go from picture to proof, almost like a case study. So you go pain, outcome or picture, points if it was more of a blog or article. If it was more sales letter style, you'd actually just skip that and you'd go to proof. So examples of other people you've helped who are relevant to the customers that have achieved the result. They've left pain and left outcome, and explain the pain and explain the outcome for that proof person, that person, how they had the pain, how they had the desire for an outcome, and how your process helped them get there. Then we come to the promise. The promise is where you explain, this is our process that we take people on to get them to their result. Our process is, we can help you do this, but because we do it in this way. And this is how we do it. And so you explain it almost in a paragraph, again, a bit shorter if it's a piece of content. And then the final thing is not too heavy. It's, if you would like to learn more about our promise and our process and get from pain to picture, call to action. What's the call to action? Make it very, very clear. So if your call to action is a discovery call, if your proof story got people to a discovery call, you should be giving them the call to action that is the discovery call, because if that's what got the person from pain to outcome, you want them to do the same thing. So your proof point must match your pitch. So if you want people to fill in a form, your proof point has to give an example of somebody else who filled in a form and went through your process to the promise. Okay, and finally, before I I'll tell you a bit more about the content bootcamp if you want to join. This is a framework that, again, you can download from us, or we can email it to you. Just message us on the screen or email us from the email address on the screen. A simple way to avoid getting confused with content. Start with this. Who is this piece of content for? What problem do they have? What's in it for them? What's in it for you? What's their next step? And then finally, the title. So if you work through this process, and you can see there's some examples on screen, the idea is that you work backwards to the title. If you do it the other way around, you'll find that your blog goes all over everywhere and your content goes all over everywhere. So write them down. Again, you can have this template. It's absolutely free. There's no catch. You don't even need, you just email us and we'll send it to you. This is a way of reverse engineering a good piece of content where you understand them better because they've got a problem. They get some value. You get some value. You have a clear next step. You don't just dump, if you'd like more information at the bottom and have no idea, what do you want them to do next? And then you find the title. It's a real simple format. And often people, when they get themselves tied up in knots over content, it's not the fact that they don't know what to write. It's the fact that they don't have a structure that they're working within. And so what happens is their creativity just goes all over everywhere. And you end up in a situation where you've got so many options that actually you can't do anything. I think it's called a paradox of choice. When you've got so much options, you actually take no choices. You make no decisions. So this framework isn't just as much for you in terms of giving you structure to produce content that keeps you focused, as it is to give a pathway to a piece of content that adds value to your business and to your prospects and the readers, viewers, watchers, browsers, whoever they are. So that's the framework. Now I realise we've gone through a huge amount in a short space of time. So apologies for that. I try and cram as much in as I can because I want you to get benefit, and I want those kind of thumbs up, follows, likes and everything as a result for adding value. My final thing is, I'm happy to take more questions if you want to send me on DM or email, because we're pretty tight on time now. But if you want to learn this with me, we'll be starting next week, a weekly session for an hour with homework in between to get you up to speed to following this process and implementing content that actually converts for your business. So there is a price to it. We'll put a link on screen. You can email us or schedule a call to talk about it or any other thing that we talk about. But if you want a step-by-step process with us, it's here. I'm gonna, if we put this up on the screen, full screen, and minimize me, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk you through some of the things that, as a reminder of what we can help with, and also some reminders from tonight's session. So if we can get this on the big screen. So hopefully you can see me. So number one, your content needs to build a brand and generate inbound leads. The two things have to work together. And that's where you have to understand the sales journey, because if you focus on trying to get leads without building a brand or building your message, you'll have to resort to more and more aggressive tactics to get more and more traffic. What we're trying to do is build traffic at the early stages, pain and outcome stage. We know that lead magnets are often the signal for you to find people who need you. And so the titles become critical. We know that there is a methodology you need to structure a piece of content to keep people engaged. Here's the final tip for tonight. Pain and outcome held together in tension keep people's attention. If you hold pain and outcome in tension, you keep the attention. Yeah, tension, Tension, and attention, Attention. So tension keeps attention. Tension keeps attention. I love these little words and that you can play together. So those key things are important. And then finally, the P framework, really important. And then the total framework of what am I going to post on what day? Taste. How can I use the same piece of content multiple times in different emphases to create the same version but in a different aspect, so it opens another dimension to what I'm doing. So I'm not regurgitating exactly the same stuff, but I have something new to say and something new to share. And that's really important in terms of the framework. So I'm going to wrap up for tonight. My voice is really sore, so apologies if you think I've got a really rough voice. I have. I've been ill for a few days over this now. But don't worry, it's not that thing that I'm not allowed to talk about because of the social media algorithms, but it's not that thing. But I have got a sore throat. So thank you so much for watching. If you want any of the resources, you can email us on screen, hi@maverrik.io, and we will send you any of the resources. If you want a replay of tonight's session, you can get that on screen too. Email us for that too. And don't forget to share the love. And I'd love you to join us on the Content Bootcamp next week. It's every Tuesday starting the 12th of October. It's 4 p.m. in the UK, which I believe is early morning US. I think it's 7 a.m. in the US on the East Coast. Any questions, email us. But for now, thanks for watching. Dean Seddon, Maverrik, please go do all that stuff. And I'll see you next week for another training session.